Hi, I'm Marty Grimes with the Santa Clara Valley Water District. Did you know that one of the ways that we help enhance local creeks and rivers is by partnering with local governments and nonprofit organizations? We have a program that's had a lot of success, and today we're going to show you a couple of the projects that we funded through the Clean Safe Creeks and Natural Flood Protection Program. And we also have some exciting grant opportunities coming up with the Safe Clean Water and Natural Flood Protection Program. So stick around. So I'm here with Brian Mendenhall. He's the project manager of our grants program at the Water District, and we're right in the middle of, literally right in the middle of Stevens Creek.
Right in the middle.
And this part of Stevens Creek is in Blackberry Farm in Cupertino. And Cupertino has been working on Blackberry Farm, a lot of restoration projects over the last few years, and the district has been supporting that?
Yes, since about 2005, the Water District has partnered with City of Cupertino on several projects here in the vicinity of Blackberry Farm. Beginning in 2005, the district had kind of started up our environmental enhancement grant programs.
Which is part of the Clean Safe Creeks
yes,
tax, property tax.
Funded by Clean Safe Creeks and Natural Flood Protection tax of 2000. So after a few years of doing a few kind of projects within the Water District, we really started to partner with others, and Cupertino was, I would say, one of those, the first ones. So they were able to submit some great applications and really demonstrate to us that they had some good ideas, some solid planning to do some creek restoration. And so this is one great example of work that we started out here.
My impression is that before the restoration happened around here, this is a very, very active park. A lot of people come here, and there were roads across the creek and a lot of parking lots, and those are the kinds of things they've been addressing? Yeah,
definitely. Blackberry Farm is adjacent to the golf course, so there's that element of it, recreation. There's an active picnic area where it's corporate picnics and personal picnics. So there is a lot of people out at this site.
And swimming pools, which I enjoyed back in the day.
And so I think what Cupertino wanted to do really is see what they could do for the creek, because it is a steelhead stream. It's naturally has water in it, and they want to see what we could do to benefit it. So
yeah, and that's amazing. Just to focus on the steelhead for a minute, this is a very important stream. There are not many streams in our county that are steelhead streams, so this is a really important one. And removing barriers to fish migrating upstream is really key, right?
Yeah, definitely. And so one way in which they were able to do that here is there was actually road crossings, just kind of unofficial road crossings where people could drive down through the creek channel, and obviously that's not good for fish to be able to find their way. And in addition to that, there was actually a small dam that they were able to remove, thereby opening the channel up even more for fish passage.
Excellent. And that was the dam project was one that was funded by one of our grants?
Yeah, the dam as well as some of the other road crossings.
Do you know what the dam was here for? Why it was originally built, or what purpose it served?
I think most of them were for probably just to keep the water down to a certain level, so there was other use of the property, maybe some of the other uses we discussed.
Okay.
But the fisheries aspect was less of an importance, I think, in the past, years and years ago. And as the communities got more involved, you've got groups like Friends of Stevens Creek, and again the city and various other nonprofits, as well as the Water District, that really see the importance of that. So we've made it an effort.
Do you know, has there been any results that noted? Have fish begun to come upstream? Do you know if they've been able to see any tangible results of these restoration projects?
I know that the city, as well as some of the nonprofits, are actually monitoring that. I believe there has been some additional sightings. I know they're also really keeping a close eye on water quality, things like that. And I think overall there has been a measurable improvement, not just because of district work, but just overall there's been so much focus on Stevens Creek as kind of one of the major creeks of Santa Clara County. So there's bound to be some improvements.
And I think it's really nice to have this restoration in a place. It's still a public place. It's still a park, and people still come here. But now they can see this is the way we treat a creek. This is the way it really should be.
Definitely, yes. It's nice to see this, and like I said, since 2005, the district's really seen the importance of that, and so been continuing to support Cupertino. They've come back to us, as the district has held more and more grant cycles throughout the years over the last 10 years. Cupertino has been able to come back to us and seek additional funding. So a lot of the work we talked about here was phase 1, they called it, and they're actually moving into phase 2 now, which is downstream of where we are today. And so there'll be additional restoration work there. And so not only, the other thing I'd point out is that not only just the enhancement component, the restoration of the fisheries and the creek channel, but there's also an active recreational trail through Blackberry Farm. And so the district was also able to support that effort.
We'll come back to see more of Stevens Creek in a few minutes. But first, let's take a quick trip out to Los Altos and visit with one of the Water District's partners in creating a unique stream bank restoration project that's also a living sculpture. Okay, we're here in a redwood forest, a redwood grove, and we're in a surprising place. We're not up in the mountains. We're actually right here in Los Altos, and I'm here with Junko Bryant from Clara. And tell me about this place, this whole place. What is this? Where are we?
This is the Redwood Grove Nature Preserve. It's owned by the city of Los Altos. And the redwood trees were planted by the original property owner back in the 20s. And so they've been here for quite a while, and the park is much beloved by the community. So it's great that we were able to have a project here.
Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. I've never been here. And you're telling me that like right now there's hardly anybody here, but it is, you get kids here and summer camps and things like that coming out here?
Yeah, the city runs a summer camp program that brings hundreds of kids, ages, I think, starting from 3 all the way up to middle school. So they have a lot of kids coming through and enjoying the park in the summer. And just, neighbors walk their dogs through here. And it's it's really close to downtown Los Altos. So it gets a lot of use.
So, Brian's here to mention the grants that we've provided from Santa Clara Valley Water District for this park. What did it look like before these efforts to restore it have been initiated?
Before we started work, a lot of the park was covered in ivy, if you can imagine. And now, when the first work day that we came out here, I was able to point behind me and say, we're going to pull this Algerian ivy. It's a problem. It takes over everything. It climbs up the trees. It's host for Norway rats. And now when we start our work days with our volunteers, I can't find much ivy to point at. So it's really exciting to see that change. I mean, there's more ivy in other areas of the park.
Is that the Algerian ivy that right behind us?
There's a few sprouts.
We can go take care of that.
Proven me wrong.
We'll go grab it. We'll go rip it out before we leave today. Okay. But we do have a project right behind us that the Water District helped fund, and it's really a beautiful project. We'll have some before pictures that we can show. And we didn't have the ivy here. I guess we may have had ivy, but there was also arundo all over this bank, right?
That's right. We had a pretty good stand of arundo donex, which I know the Water District is working to help eradicate all over the county.
Big problem.
So we had a chance to, since it is a fairly limited stand, we wanted to get rid of it before it tried to spread and take over. And it's also incredibly satisfying, I think, for volunteers to be able to pull something out that big and see the change in front of them. So we went ahead and pulled it all out. And then we were able to, that's when we secured this grant funding to be able to come back and revegetate the site.
Okay. So how did the plan come to do this with it? This revegetation isn't like a typical revegetation. It's very special. Tell me about it.
Yeah, we had a kind of a unique opportunity in that this funding came through at about the same time that the Los Altos History Museum was putting on an exhibit called Shaped by Water.
Yep, I remember that.
And I think it's still, in fact, circulating around somewhere. The exhibits are. It was a really nice exhibit on the history of water in Silicon Valley and things like that. And the woman who curated it is a local artist and active with Greentown Los Altos, which is another partner of ours. And she and one of the neighbors who lives here, who's also active with the History Museum, came up with this idea to bring Daniel McCormick and his partner Mary O'Brien out. They do restoration art. So they do environmental art that also serves a purpose of restoring the landscape. And they've done some other projects in the Bay Area where they were weaving willow sticks together in an artistic form to restore a creek bank. And we thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool to do that here? It's such a visible location. The community is really interested in this park, and so we were able to bring it together.
So this was a live wall back here. It was live willow branches stuck in the ground, and they've sprouted. So we see the greenery coming up from the sculpture. So it's a living sculpture.
It's a living sculpture, yeah. And the artist named it Thicket for what we hope it becomes in a few years. But it's actually, the form is still visible, and I kind of had forgotten that willow is deciduous. And so every winter, it kind of reveals itself a little bit more again. So hopefully we can enjoy it for a few more years before it really takes off.
So, Brian, how much was the grant that we provided for this project?
It was about $46,000, and it really included a few different components. But Clara has been a great partner to work with, and they've been able to provide to submit really solid applications. And because of that, we've actually had a couple opportunities to partner with them. Once through an enhancement planning grant, and then coming back again for an enhancement implementation grant. A lot of
those are two different projects.
Two different projects.
The planning grant is something that's going to happen coming in the future.
What we had done back in 2010 is we did an environmental enhancement planning grant, thinking let's get some seed money out there for not cities, nonprofits, etc., to really get their projects started. And we were finding that was something that was really short. There wasn't a lot of opportunities for that kind of funding. And so the board of directors went ahead and authorized that. And Clara was successful in receiving some funding there. Then the next year we came back and said, okay, well, now let's put out a grant opportunity for implementation projects. And what we found is that actually 4 out of the 6 planning projects came back and were successful in receiving implementation funding. So it really worked. It got the seed money, they got their project started, then they were ready to actually put the projects in the ground. And so I think Clara was one of those.
What were some of the others of the 4 that you mentioned?
We had another one was Trout Unlimited, doing some work on finding ways, kind of inventive ways of getting water back into the streams in South County on Little Arthur Creek. Another one was Save the Bay, or at San Francisco Bay Bird Observatory, working with San Francisco Bay Wildlife Society. And so that was looking at creating tidal ecotones, or kind of transition zones between the tidal marshes and the upland habitat, which is a real critical piece for estuarine areas, creating that transition zone. So they're looking at what kind of species would thrive, and kind of a study in a sense, but actually creating habitat at the same time. So those are a couple of good examples of successful applicants.
Yeah, just the examples you're giving. You're talking about tidal stuff. We have projects in South County, here in the middle, Los Altos. It's all over the county, and we got a lot more grants to come up with the Safe Clean Water program. So hopefully we'll have more projects like this to feature in the future. Oh, and thank you, Junka, for showing us the park. I wish we could stay all day and get a full tour of everything, but I'm going to take care of that ivy for you, and we'll get out of your hair.
I appreciate that. Thanks for coming and checking out the site.
All right. Thank you. Now let's head back to Blackberry Farm to learn more about the project there and what grant opportunities are coming up in the future. Okay, here we are back in beautiful Stevens Creek, and this is the location, Brian, where there was a dam here, right?
Yeah, as we mentioned, we've talked about before, part of the project that the district helped support was actually removal of a small dam here on Stevens Creek. And now you can tell that you've got flowing water. It's good fish habitat with riffles and pools, and it looks like
Lots of
they've done
shade.
their job. Lots of shade.
Yep, I haven't seen a steelhead swimming up, but I could imagine this would be a suitable place for them. We did see a crawfish or a crawdad, depending on where you're from.
Yes.
So it is, it's working. Okay, here we are up near the parking lot at Blackberry Farm, and I understand all of this area has been really redone. This bridge over here, the district funded part of it, but not all of it. What elements do you see here that have helped this to become a more natural area that the district helped fund?
Yeah, so just downstream of here, there used to be a large parking area, and it was part of the golf course and other portions of for the picnic areas here at Blackberry Farm. But what Cupertino was able to do is pretty remarkable. They actually realigned the channel to cut right through the middle of where the old parking lot was. And in that process, they created a new channel, restored the banks, created riparian vegetation. So that whole portion the district had helped fund, as well as upstream here, close to where we are now, you can see there's some riparian vegetation and trees that since about 2007, right around there, they've grown up pretty well.
It's pretty amazing how quickly a creek can turn so natural, and you'd never know that 10 years ago this was a parking lot.
There's really no way to tell, and we're just happy to be a part of such a transformation, I think.
And we've been a part of a lot of transformations overall since Clean Safe Creeks was passed in 2000. How many grants have we been a part of?
So with grants and a few of the other related partnerships, we've actually funded about 92 projects. And I would say those were probably a total over $16 million.
That's great. And so we have stories like this all over the county.
All over the county, and we try to demonstrate that fact to our board. They're always interested in spreading the grant funding around, and we really can say that I think we funded 90% of the cities and the county, and countless nonprofits in addition. So.
And trails is a big part of the program as well. How have we done with trails? They're all over the place, right?
Yeah, well, through the Clean Safe Creeks program, we really, our goal was to open public access to 70 miles of trail. Mm-hmm. And so we actually have done that. When we sunsetted our program actually a few years early, as we signed our new measure into place, we had hit just about 71 miles of trail, and like I said, that was about 3 years early. So although the district doesn't implement trails on our own, we really rely on our partners to get that done. Primarily, our means of doing that is by opening up our maintenance access roads along the creek channels, and because they're in a nice riparian natural area, they're pretty inviting and a logical way to open up public access for trails and without having a significant impact on the riparian corridor.
Yeah, well, Stevens Creek is a great example where they're downstream of here. There's a trail on the levee all the way down to the bay.
Yes.
So opening access is part of the 70 miles. It's not necessarily building a brand new trail, but a lot of it is just partnering with the city to maintain a trail that people can actually use.
Yeah, and in a lot of cases there may be kind of a pathway unofficially. Sometimes it involves paving a trail, which bicyclists might like. Sometimes it's leaving it more natural, but really creating the access point so people know where the trail is, putting in appropriate signage. A lot of times the district helps fund interpretive signage, so you'll get like a nice sign that talks about that particular creek and possibly the wildlife that may have existed there or still does.
Okay, so let's talk about the new program, Safe Clean Water, passed last November, funding a whole new round of 15 more years of grants and partnerships. So what do we have in store, and what's the first cycle of funding that's out right now?
So yeah, the district is pretty excited about our Safe Clean Water and Natural Flood Protection Program. It really does build on what we had started under Clean Safe Creeks, and part of that was what we used to term environmental enhancements, and really kind of our stewardship mission. That part of the district's work, and under Safe Clean Water we have over $100 million worth of stewardship funding. And that's a sizable chunk of money.
And a huge increase over what we had in the Clean Safe Creeks program before.
Yes, much more money. And it's not just creek restoration. We're looking at things like pollution prevention or cleanup, which is a big topic around the county. Also things, some continued funding for trails, creek restoration, tidal restoration, all different things we would associate with the word stewardship. And those are all things we started before, but we're really looking to kind of step it up, take it up a notch, really focus on some of the important work out there.
And some projects that will really have a watershed-wide impact, more bigger picture projects.
I think cumulatively, we'll focus on some of the really critical projects. Those may include things like fish barrier removals, but they'll also include things like persistent problems with bank stabilization or topics like that. We have been hearing from our stakeholders that they would like us to try to take a look at more of an ecosystem-wide or watershed scale. And part of the way we're able to do that is through our ecological assessment program and watershed master plans. We're taking a look at broader plans, more holistic, and seeing if we can really figure out where kind of the critical areas are and how best to prioritize that work. So not just go out and spend this $100 million, but actually focus it at where it needs to be spent.
Spend it wisely. So you mentioned that cities, and a lot of the cities, maybe all the cities in the county and nonprofits are eligible. So what are the types of groups, or what am I missing that could apply for these grants? Who are you trying to reach out to?
Yeah, really, the cities are a logical partner because they have their infrastructures in place, their government. But nonprofits, 501c3 nonprofits, which there's many. Schools are, all the way from elementary up through colleges are eligible. Mutual, not-for-profit water districts. There are a few small ones around the county, other than the Santa Clara Valley Water District. We also encourage others that may not fit into those categories to work with those other groups, such as neighborhood associations. Dedicated teams of people that want to see good work done, that don't really have that structure in place. So we encourage them to work with their local city or their local nonprofit.
Okay, so right now, if somebody is in a group like that, is interested, how do they find out more about the grants that are available right now?
So we have quite a large stakeholder list that we've released a request for proposals to, but I always like to steer people to our webpage. The district has just initiated a new webpage for grants, valleywater.org/grants, pretty easy. And it's a good landing page for not only our past work under Clean Safe Creeks, but also Safe Clean Water. And any upcoming announcements, those kinds of things are right there on the front page, and we'll take you to the appropriate place.
Okay, and when is the first, this grant cycle that's open right now? When are proposals due?
So we just released the RFP, and there's actually two different grants, one on pollution prevention, one on restoration type projects. And it came out last week, and it will be due November 22nd. So about a 10-week turnaround, and in the middle there we'll be holding a workshop to give people additional information and answer any questions, and that's slated for the first part of October.
All right. So you have I think you have a pretty interesting job. You get to oversee this process to hand out grant millions of dollars to all these great projects and see the results. Is that what you came to the district to do? Or?
I started at the district as an environmental planner. It was not my first job in the field, but my second really, and enjoyed that work. But just kind of found my way into project management and running the grant programs. So I've been doing that since about 2003, and I have to say it is a pretty feel-good job. Finding a way to get those dollars to people that can really implement the work, and is pretty satisfying. A lot of times I think one of the great things you see is it might only be a small amount of money. $25,000. A nonprofit can do a tremendous amount of work with that little bit of money, and it's really refreshing to see that.
So what is the absolute number one best thing that you've experienced at the Water District?
I would say, in the last several years, I've not just through the grant programs, but other work I'm doing, the partnerships that we're building on is I really enjoy that aspect of my job. So not just the grants, but working through regional partners, other water districts, other cities, seeing how everyone is so dedicated to the work that we do. And I see that outside of the district. I see that in our interactions with others. But then just stepping back, even at the district, we have a really dedicated team. I mean, I think as diverse as our mission is, and as many things as we're trying to accomplish, and oftentimes with very little funding, it seems like we're all there every day to get the work done. So
that's really touching, Brian, but I'm going to give you one more chance. That was a very good answer, but let me ask you again. What is the most terrific thing that has happened to you as part of working at the Water District? Go.
Well, if we phrase it that way, I would probably have to say meeting my wife.
Meeting your wife. How did that happen?
So she also works at the Water District, been there even longer than I, and through a lot of the projects we worked on, one day we find ourselves in the same team meeting, and the rest is history.
Well, great. Congratulations, and congratulations on almost 12 years at the Water District.
Yes, almost 12 years at the district.
Great. May there be many more. And thank you for showing us all these wonderful grants today, and we'll hopefully see lots more in the future.
Thank you.
So that's the end of our program for this month. Thank you very much for watching. I want to invite everyone to come to valleywater.org to find out more about the grants program and all kinds of other programs at the Water District. Also on the home page, you'll see a link to our e-news. It's a monthly e-newsletter that you can sign up for, and also our Facebook and Twitter feeds. So be our friend on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And we'll see you next month.